I thought our love was bulletproof, until a single text message turned my world to ash. I was standing in the kitchen that morning, sunlight spilling over the countertops like liquid gold, when the first crack appeared in my perfect life. The smell of coffee, his coffee, always too strong, filled the air, and I remember thinking how lucky I was. 10 years with Jake, a decade of inside jokes, shared dreams, and his arms around me every night. Sarah, my best friend since 3rd grade, had even joked we were sickeningly perfect. But that day felt different. I'd made pancakes, his favorite, drowning them in syrup the way he liked. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. "Can't wait to celebrate you two tonight." I smiled, but my chest tightened. Something about her emojis lately felt performative. Like she was overcompensating. "Stop it," I told myself. "You're being paranoid." But the doubts kept creeping in. Like how Jake had started working late twice a week, coming home smelling like Sarah's vanilla perfume. Or how she'd cancelled our last 3 coffee dates, claiming migraines, but posted selfies at spin class minutes later. I shook my head, scrubbing the pancake pan harder than necessary. They're your people. Trust them. After breakfast, I decided to take a shower and get ready for the day. As the warm water cascaded over me, I closed my eyes and tried to relax. But my mind was racing, replaying moments from the past few weeks. The way Jake had been distant. The way Sarah had seemed distracted during our last lunch together. "You're being ridiculous," I scolded myself, stepping out of the shower and wrapping a towel around my body. I glanced at my reflection in the mirror, taking a moment to appreciate the woman staring back at me. I was strong, capable, and fiercely loyal. I had built a life with Jake, one filled with love and laughter. But as I applied my makeup, the nagging feeling returned. What if I was missing something? What if there was a reason for the distance between us? "Stop it," I whispered, shaking my head. "You're just being paranoid." After getting dressed, I decided to tidy up the living room. As I picked up a few stray items, my eyes fell on Jake's laptop, which was open on the coffee table. I hesitated for a moment, a strange urge to check it washing over me. But I quickly dismissed the thought. Jake had always been private about his work, and I respected that. "Just focus on tonight," I reminded myself, forcing a smile as I straightened the cushions on the couch. The hours passed quickly, and soon it was time to get ready for our anniversary dinner. I chose a beautiful dress that hugged my curves perfectly, the deep red fabric making me feel confident and radiant. I styled my hair in soft waves and applied a touch of lipstick, glancing at my reflection with satisfaction. "You look amazing," I whispered to myself, feeling a surge of excitement. When Jake arrived home, he was greeted by the sight of me looking stunning. His eyes lit up, and he pulled me into a warm embrace, planting a soft kiss on my lips. "Wow, you look incredible," he said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. "Thanks. You clean up pretty well yourself," I replied, stepping back to admire him in his crisp shirt and tailored pants. We shared a light dinner at a cozy restaurant, the atmosphere filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. I felt the tension from earlier begin to dissipate as we reminisced about our favorite memories together. But even amidst the laughter, the nagging feeling lingered in the back of my mind. After dinner, we returned home, and I felt a sense of anticipation. I poured 2 glasses of wine, handing one to Jake as we settled on the couch. The conversation flowed easily, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. But then Jake's phone buzzed on the coffee table. He glanced at it, his expression shifting ever so slightly. "Work again?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light. "Yeah, just a quick email," he replied, standing up. "I'll be right back." As he disappeared into the study, my eyes drifted to his phone. The screen was still lit up, displaying a notification from Sarah. I can't stop thinking about last night. The words hit me like a physical blow. My breath caught in my throat, and the room seemed to spin. I reached for the phone, my hands trembling, but before I could unlock it, Jake returned. "Everything okay?" he asked, his voice casual. "Yeah," I lied, forcing a smile. "Just tired." But as I sipped my wine, the truth settled over me like a suffocating fog. The perfect illusion of my life had cracked, and I knew nothing would ever be the same. I told myself it was just a text, until the emojis started telling their own story. The lie tasted like burnt coffee. I stood in the shower 3 days later, scalding water biting my skin, replaying the way Jake's thumb had jerked to hide his screen when I'd walked in with laundry. "Work stress," he'd said. But I'd seen the heartbreak emoji floating in the notification bubble. Sarah's signature heartbreak, the same one she'd used when her cat died, when her divorce papers arrived, when I'd miscarried. At brunch that Saturday, Sarah's laugh rang too high when Jake passed her the mimosa. Her fingers brushed his a beat too long, coral nails grazing his wedding band. I stabbed my avocado toast. "You two seem cozy," I said, smiling so wide my cheeks ached. Sarah froze mid-sip. "Jealous?" Jake grinned, kicking my foot under the table like it was a joke, but his eyes darted to Sarah's wrist, to the new rose gold bracelet I didn't buy her. That night, I Googled, "Signs your husband and best friend are gaslighting you," until 3 a.m. The articles blurred into a carousel of worst-case scenarios. I shut the laptop, bile rising, and crept to Jake's side of the bed. His phone glowed on the nightstand. My thumb hovered over the password. Our anniversary had to be when he stirred. "M?" he mumbled. Sleep rough voice laced with something sharp. "Just checking the time," I whispered. The lie hung between us, sticky as the vanilla perfume clinging to his collar. By Tuesday, I'd memorized their new routines. Sarah's sudden obsession with solo hiking every Thursday. Jake's emergency meetings that left his gym bag smelling of her lavender detergent. I began collecting evidence like broken glass. A lipstick-stained receipt in his jacket pocket. Ruby Rush, Sarah's shade. A missed call from S business contact during our movie night. Each shard cut deeper, but I kept arranging them into harmless shapes. Coincidence. Paranoia. You're imagining things. The unraveling came at Target. We needed toothpaste. But as Jake debated mint flavors, his phone buzzed in the cart. The screen lit up. A text preview. "Can't wait for our waterfall hike tomorrow." P.S. Still sore from... My lungs collapsed. Jake snatched the phone, cheeks flushing crimson. "Spam," he laughed, too loud. The fluorescent lights hummed like a warning. That night I confronted him over cold lasagna. "Who's hiking with you tomorrow?" His fork clattered. "M, don't start." But I'd already seen the flicker in his eyes. The same look he'd had when lying about smoking, about the credit card debt, about everything. "It's Sarah, isn't it?" The name cracked my voice. He stood abruptly, chair screeching. "You're being insane. She's your best friend." The bedroom door slammed. I sat in the dark, tracing our wedding photo until my finger smudged Jake's face. When my phone chimed, a meme from Sarah captioned "Miss our wine nights." I hurled it against the fridge. The screen shattered into a spiderweb. glass shards twinkling like the bracelet she'd worn, like the lies I'd swallowed. Sleep didn't come. At dawn, I drove to Sarah's condo, rehearsing speeches in the rear view. But her Jeep was gone. The garage gaped empty, a single pink post-it on the door. Back Sunday! The kissy face bled ink in the rain. I stood there soaked until my phone buzzed. A location notification. Jake's phone. Silver Falls trailhead. The highway stretched like a noose. I drove on autopilot, windshield wipers thumping liar, liar, liar. At the trail parking lot, their cars sat side by side, dusted with pollen like confetti. My hands shook as I texted Sarah, "Emergency. Can you come over?" Her reply was instant. "Stuck at Mum's all weekend. So sorry." The hike took 17 minutes. I counted each step, each ragged breath, until I heard them Sarah's crystalline laugh echoing off the rocks. They stood at the cliff's edge, his hand resting on the small of her back, her head tilted toward him like a sunflower. Neither noticed me. I didn't scream, didn't move, just watched as Jake tucked a windblown strand of her hair behind her ear. My gesture, my husband, my best friend. And realized the truth had been here all along, nesting in the silences between their jokes, blooming in the spaces where I'd stopped asking questions. The drive home was a blur. I parked in our garage, engine running, and finally let the tears come. Not for them, for the woman in the rearview mirror, still clutching the anniversary card Sarah had signed to my favorite love story. The ink had smudged. Or maybe that was just my eyes, burning with the realization that the two people I'd trusted most had built a secret world, and I'd handed them the bricks. I thought seeing them together broke me, until I found the album titled Sunrises in his hidden cloud. The garage reeked of gasoline and regret. I sat cross-legged on the cold concrete, Jake's abandoned laptop burning my thighs, its screen glowing like a confession. He'd left it behind. "Just a work thing, babe," when he'd rushed out to help Sarah with a flat tire. But the login autofilled, our anniversary date flashing mockingly. The folder appeared innocuous at first, vacation photos, I assumed. Our trip to Bali, our weekend in Napa. But the timestamps told a different story. Thursdays, always Thursdays. The day Sarah volunteered at the animal shelter. The first image loaded slowly. Sarah's hand, palm up on a hotel bedsheet. Jake's silver wedding band glinting beside her coral nails. No faces, just fragments. Her ankle hooked around his calf in a sunrise silhouette. Their tangled fingers clutching a wine glass. A crumpled room service menu with "extra pillows, please." In Sarah's loopy script. I clicked faster, nails cracking against the trackpad. Message logs spilled open, months of Telegram threads. "You're my favorite addiction," he'd written on my birthday. "I dreamt about your laugh," she'd replied the night I'd cried over our failed IVF. They'd crafted a lexicon of lies. Yoga meant motel rooms. Work dinner meant her apartment. Miss you meant I wish I were with her. The cursor hovered over a voice note. I pressed play. Sarah's giggle fist through the speakers. "Say it again." "You're perfect." Jake's voice, soft as the night he'd proposed. "Perfect enough to leave her?" A pause. The rustle of sheets. "We've talked about this." The screen blurred. I slammed the laptop shut, but their voices clung like smoke. In the silence, I noticed the fridge humming our song. The Ed Sheeran ballad from our first dance. I'd always hated it. Upstairs, our bedroom felt like a crime scene. I yanked open Jake's drawer, scattering cufflinks, and found the velvet box he'd sworn was a client gift. Inside sat matching pendants, A sun and moon, their edges interlocking. Sarah's Instagram post from Valentine's Day flashed in my mind. Found my missing piece, with a neckline dip just enough to reveal the moon. I'd liked the photo. The shower ran. I stared at our bathroom door, steam seeping out like a ghost, and realized I didn't know who he'd been texting in there all those nights. Me. Her? Both. My hands moved on their own, dumping his cologne into the toilet, shredding the love notes he'd left in my purse. But the bottle wouldn't shatter. It just bobbed, taunting in the blue water. At 3 a.m. I drove to Sarah's, not to confront, to see. Her porch light was off, but the bedroom window glowed. I watched their shadows dance, her twirling in his shirt, him pulling her close. A flash of her phone screen. A selfie of us at the lake last summer captioned, "Grateful for my ride or die," posted minutes ago. My stomach heaved. The truth, I realized, wasn't in the lies they told me, but in the truths they told each other. I scrolled their messages again, parked outside her house like a stranger, and found the photo that hollowed me. Jake, shirtless, holding Sarah's hand over his heart. The timestamp? The night he'd comforted me after my miscarriage. Dawn came, brittle and pale. I returned home, Jake's key still on the counter. His suitcase sat by the door. "Business trip," he'd said. But the tag read Cancun, in Sarah's handwriting. I traced the letters, then placed our wedding album beside it, open to the page where she'd signed "Best Sister Wife Ever" in silver Sharpie. The tears didn't come, neither did the rage. Just a numb, howling quiet. I crawled into our bed, clutching the sun pendant he'd given her, and stared at the ceiling fan. Round and round it went, slicing the light into fragments. Like their lies, like my memories, like the life I'd knitted together from their scraps. When the doorbell rang, I didn't move. Sarah's voice chirped through the camera. "Em? I brought croissants. Let's talk about Jake's weird vibe lately." Her smile was flawless. Her hair swept into the messy bun I'd taught her. I watched her adjust her scarf. His scarf, the one I'd bought him last Christmas, and finally understood. The woman in the screen wasn't my friend. Just a thief who'd learned to pick locks by watching me hand her the keys. I powered off the phone, buried it under the pillows, and let the silence swallow me whole. I thought confronting them would bring clarity, but all it did was shatter the last pieces of my heart. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the living room as I paced back and forth, the weight of the truth pressing down on my chest like a boulder. I had spent the night in a haze, the images of Jake and Sarah replaying in my mind like a broken record. Each laugh, each touch, each stolen moment felt like a knife twisting deeper into my soul. I had to confront them. I had to know why. I glanced at the clock. Jake would be home soon. My heart raced as I thought about what I would say. Would I scream? Would I cry? Or would I simply stand there, paralyzed by the betrayal? I had rehearsed 1,000 scenarios in my head, but none of them felt right. The truth was, I was terrified. Terrified of losing Jake. Terrified of losing Sarah. And terrified of losing the life I had built. The door creaked open, and Jake stepped inside, his smile faltering as he caught sight of me. "Hey babe, you're home early," he said, his voice bright, but laced with an undercurrent of tension. I could see the moment he realized something was off. "We need to talk," I said, my voice steady, despite the storm raging inside me. I gestured for him to sit on the couch, and he complied, his brow furrowing in confusion. "What's going on?" he asked. his eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the confrontation. I know about you and Sarah. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Jake's face paled, and for a moment I thought he might deny it. But instead he looked away, his silence speaking volumes. "Emily, he started, but I cut him off. "Don't. Just don't. I saw the messages, Jake. I saw the photos. I know everything." My voice trembled, but I held my ground, refusing to let him see how much his betrayal had shattered me. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration etched across his features. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake, Em. I love you. I swear." "Love? Is that what you call it?" I shot back, my heart racing. "You think love is sneaking around behind my back? You think love is lying to my face?" Jake's expression shifted, anger flaring in his eyes. "You don't understand. Sarah and I..." "What? You think I don't understand? I've been living in a nightmare while you two played house." I could feel the tears welling up, but I refused to let them fall. I needed to stay strong. "It wasn't like that. We were just friends. I never meant to hurt you." His voice rose, desperation creeping in. "Friends? Is that what you call it? Friends don't send each other heart emojis, Jake. Friends don't share hotel rooms." The words spilled out of me, each one a reminder of the betrayal that had turned my world upside down. He looked down, shame washing over his features. "I messed up. I know that. But I love you, Emily. I want to fix this." "Fix this?" I echoed, incredulous. "How do you fix a broken trust? How do you fix a heart that's been shattered?" The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. I could see the regret in his eyes, but it wasn't enough. It would never be enough. "What about Sarah?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "What do you want to do about her?" Jake hesitated, and in that moment, I knew. I knew he was still holding on to her, still clinging to the illusion of their connection. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice small. "You don't know?" I repeated, disbelief flooding my veins. "You don't know if you want to be with the woman who betrayed me, the woman who took everything from us." "It's complicated, Em. I didn't mean for it to happen. I was confused." "Confused?" I laughed bitterly, the sound echoing in the empty room. "You were confused while you were texting her sweet nothings? While you were planning trips together? I thought I could forgive him, until I realized forgiveness might mean losing myself." The morning light filtered through the curtains, casting a soft glow over the room. But it did little to warm the chill that had settled in my heart. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the weight of the past few weeks pressing down on me like a heavy blanket. Jake's side of the bed was empty, the sheets still crisp and untouched, a stark reminder of the distance that had grown between us. I had spent the night tossing and turning, my mind racing with thoughts of betrayal, love, and the impossible choices that lay ahead. The confrontation with Jake had left me reeling, and now I found myself at a crossroads, unsure of which path to take. "What do you want?" I whispered to myself, the question echoing in the silence of the room. I had asked Jake that very question, but his answer had been vague, filled with uncertainty. "He loved me," he said. But he was also confused about his feelings for Sarah. The thought of him still holding on to her, even in the smallest way, twisted my stomach into knots. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, the cool floor sending a shiver up my spine. I needed to clear my head, to think, without the weight of his presence looming over me. I grabbed my phone and scrolled through the messages from Sarah, each one a reminder of the betrayal that had shattered my world. "I'm so sorry," she had written. "I never meant to hurt you." But the words felt hollow, empty of meaning. I stood up and walked to the window, pulling back the curtains to reveal a world bathed in sunlight. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, their leaves whispering secrets I couldn't quite grasp. I longed for clarity, for a sign that would guide me through the fog of confusion that enveloped my heart. Maybe I should just leave, I thought, the idea taking root in my mind. But where would I go? I had built a life with Jake, a life that felt like it was crumbling around me. The thought of starting over was daunting, yet the thought of staying felt like a prison sentence. I turned away from the window, my heart racing as I made my way to the kitchen. I needed coffee, something to jolt me into reality. As I brewed the dark liquid, I replayed the events of the past few weeks in my mind. The laughter, the love, the betrayal. Each memory felt like a dagger piercing through the facade of happiness I had once believed in. The coffee pot gurgled, and I poured myself a steaming cup, the rich aroma filling the air. I took a sip, letting the warmth spread through me. But it did little to soothe the turmoil inside. I needed to confront my feelings, to face the truth of what had happened. "You can't keep running from this," I told myself, setting the cup down on the counter. I had to make a decision, and I couldn't do it alone. I needed to talk to someone who understood, someone who could help me navigate the storm that was brewing in my heart. I grabbed my phone and dialed Sarah's number, my heart pounding in my chest. The phone rang, each tone echoing my anxiety. When she finally picked up, her voice was tentative. "Emily, we need to talk," I said, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside me. "Okay. Where?" "My place. Now." The line went silent for a moment before she replied, "I'll be there in 10. I hung up, my heart racing as I prepared for the confrontation. I had so many questions, so many things I needed to say. I wanted answers. But more than that, I wanted closure. When Sarah arrived, I could see the tension in her posture, the way she hesitated at the door before stepping inside. "Hey," she said softly, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for the right words. "Sit down," I instructed, my voice firm. I needed to take control of this conversation. She perched on the edge of the couch, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "I'm really sorry, Em. I never wanted to hurt you." "But you did," I replied, my voice steady. "You hurt me in a way I can't even begin to describe." I know," she said, her voice trembling. I got caught up in everything. Jake was there for me when I needed someone, and I thought it was just a moment of weakness." "A moment of weakness?" I echoed, incredulous. "You don't just betray someone you love because of a moment of weakness. You made a choice, Sarah." Her eyes filled with tears, and I could see the guilt etched on her face. "I know, and I regret it every day. I never wanted to come between you two. It just happened." "Just happened?" I felt anger bubbling up inside me, a fire igniting in my chest. You don't just let things happen when it involves someone's heart. You fight for what's right. I know I should have fought for you, but I was scared," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't want to lose Jake, and I didn't want to lose you either." "So you thought cheating was the answer?" I shot back, my heart racing. "You thought that would somehow keep us all together?" She shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "No, I was foolish. I thought I could handle it, that I could keep it a secret, and it wouldn't hurt anyone. But it did hurt me, Sarah. It hurt me deeply, I said, my voice softening slightly. I could see the pain in her eyes, the regret that was now too late to change. You have to understand how this feels. I do. I really do, she replied, her voice breaking. I've lost my best friend because of my mistakes. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know how sorry I am. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm inside me. Sorry isn't enough, Sarah. It's going to take time for me to process this. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. I understand, she said, her voice filled with sorrow. I'll give you all the time you need. I just hope one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me. The silence hung heavy between us, the weight of our shared history pressing down on us. I felt a mix of emotions, anger, sadness, betrayal, but also a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to move forward. I need to think, I finally said, my voice barely above a whisper. I need to figure out what I want. Take all the time you need, she replied, her voice filled with understanding. I'll be here when you're ready. As she left, I felt a strange sense of relief wash over me. The confrontation had been difficult, but it was necessary. I needed to face the truth, to confront the pain head on. I sank onto the couch, my mind racing with thoughts of Jake and Sarah. I had to decide what I wanted for my future. Did I want to fight for my relationship with Jake, or was it time to let go? The sun began to set outside, casting a warm glow across the room. I felt a sense of calm wash over me as I realized that I had the power to choose my own path. I could either cling to the past or embrace the unknown future that lay ahead. What do you want? I asked myself again, the question echoing in my mind. I needed to find the answer, to dig deep within myself and uncover the truth of my heart. As the darkness settled in, I knew that the journey ahead would be challenging, but I was ready to face it. I would no longer be a victim of my circumstances. I would take control of my life and make the choices that were right for me. This is my life, I whispered to myself, determination filling my voice. And I will not let anyone else dictate my happiness. With that thought, I felt a sense of empowerment surge through me. I was at a crossroads, but I was ready to choose my own path, no matter how difficult it might be. The future was uncertain, but I was ready to embrace it with open arms. Make sure to subscribe for more. Check out the next video and others on the channel.